Hello and welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. Today we will be discussing GS mains questions which has been asked in 2022 last year in paper 2. Okay. So one question is related to IR today. Two questions are related to social justice. Again, I would ask you guys, you are on the basis of the discussions that we are doing in class. Okay. We will be giving you a framework to write the answers. You need to write the answers on your own and do a comparative study. Okay. After that, you can ask for a model answer. We will be providing you the same. Okay. So let us begin with the first question, which says, do you think that BIMSTEC is a parallel organization like SARC? So the first reading of the question is just for our own understanding that do you think that the BIMSTEC is a parallel organization to SARC, and what are the similarities and dissimilarities between the two? How are Indian foreign policy objectives realized by forming this new organization? Okay, so the keywords here will be first of all BIMSTEC, secondly SARC. Okay, then what are the similarities and the dissimilarities? So basically we need to compare and contrast the two organizations, and how are Indian foreign policy objectives? So there should be some foreign policy objective which should be fulfilled by this organization. That's what they are asking. How Indian foreign policy objectives are realized by forming this new organization. So this new organization is the BIMSTEC, because BIMSTEC has been formed much later than SARC. So they are asking how or which foreign policy objective will be satisfied by this organization. Okay. So we need to, the introduction part we just need to write about BIMSTEC and SARC. Okay, so we just had to discuss about the members, what is the organization about. Okay, so BIMSTEC stands for Bay of Bengal Initiative for Multi-Sectoral Technical and Economic Cooperation. Okay, and this is South Asian Association Regional Cooperation. So amongst BIMSTEC and SARC, the common members include Bangladesh, Bhutan, India, Nepal and Sri Lanka. Okay, these 5 countries, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 countries are common to both BIMSTEC as well as SARC. So basically it is the Indian subcontinent. Okay, apart from that, they have 3 extra members. That's Afghanistan, Pakistan and Maldives, one lying in Indian Ocean. Okay, and they have 2 extra members, that is Malaysia and Thailand. Okay, so that is what we had to write, that BIMSTEC as an organization is combining the ideas or the grouping of South Asia along with Southeast Asia also, because these two are Southeast Asian members, okay, are members of ASEAN. So that is what we had to discuss. The BIMSTEC is multi-sectoral technical and economic cooperation, and this is not having a definite policy in itself. It is not directed to security, maritime issues, economic issues, technical issues. That is not mentioned in the while the formation of the organization was taking place. Okay, so we had to discuss about the BIMSTEC and its members, and SARC, overlapping members of BIMSTEC and SARC. Okay, now coming to the features. So with respect to features, we had to, because it was a 10-marker question only, so we should not be exceeding 2 to 3 lines in introduction. Features you could write that BIMSTEC was combining Indian subcontinent along with Southeast Asia. SARC was only limited to South Asia only. Okay. From introduction, you can switch towards body. In body, we had to write about the compare and contrast part, the similarities and the dissimilarities. Okay. So the similarities can be both the organizations, both SARC as well as BIMSTEC. They are consensus driven. Consensus driven matlab, let us all agree to this point, or if all of us agree, only then we will be moving to the next point. Okay, so both of them are consensus driven, and that is the primary reason why SARC is not able to perform, because India and Pakistan are never coming on a congruence of idea. Okay, so the consensus is never accepted. Okay, plus both of them are based on India's neighborhood first policy, and this is the policy which will be objectified, which will be implemented, executed by the BIMSTEC, which SARC has failed to do so. Okay, so basically the idea of the conceptualization of formation of the two organizations was that both of them were directed towards neighborhood first policy. Okay, plus connectivity, trade, maintenance of peace, These are the common principles of working for both SARC as well as BIMSTEC. Okay, and Indian subcontinent shall be the focus of Asia as per the two organizations. According to both the organizations, both the organization is focusing on the Indian subcontinent. Okay, but the dissimilarities are something that has put out BIMSTEC way, giving it more priority than SARC, and that is BIMSTEC is much more promising. Okay, that is also evident from its annual meet. Okay, on the other hand, SARC last met in 2014 itself. Okay, so even if the leaders are meeting annually, they are discussing their problems, discussing about the solutions. That means the organization is fructifying, right? Whatever where its objective, it is being discussed, right? Plus, this similarity is greater outreach, as it consists of South Asia plus Southeast Asia, as we discussed. It is also inculcating within itself Malaysia and Thailand, and thus all the problems, all the benefits of Malaysia and Thailand are also being catered to under this organization BIMSTEC. And it is not dominated by the India-Pakistan challenges. Okay, because India and Pakistan are, both the countries are not member to BIMSTEC. Okay, India itself, India alone is a member to BIMSTEC and Pakistan is not. So the core problem of every meet is not India-Pakistan, unlike SARC. In SARC, the core problem every time becomes India-Pakistan issue is itself. Okay, so BIMSTEC, because it is not dominated by India-Pakistan challenges, it is able to solve other problems, okay, of the region. Oh, so that is what we had to discuss in the body part. Now coming to the conclusion, because the last part of the question, which was saying which foreign policy or how India's foreign policy will be objectified by the new organization. So the benefit of BIMSTEC can be seen through Kalagan multimodal transport. Okay, it is also increasing connectivity in India's northeast. It is also fructified IMT highway project, wherein India, Myanmar and Thailand are party to this. So we have been able to finalize the project of IMT highway. So these are certain of the some of the benefits. Whatever we targeted under BIMSTEC, although this organization has come late in picture, whatever we have targeted under this, we have started projects to implement the projects. We have started various initiatives to implement the projects. Okay, so with that you can conclude how positively BIMSTEC is contributing to India's neighborhood first policy. Okay, by this you need to connect this to India's neighborhood first policy. Okay, now coming to the next part, the second question. Okay, the second question says, do you agree with the view that increasing the dependence on donor agencies for development reduces the importance of community participation in the development process? So the keywords are increasing dependence on donor agencies. So our focus area, our introduction should definitely be beginning with donor agencies. Who are donor agencies? Some of the examples to it. And with increasing dependence on donor agency, we are decreasing community participation. So this will also be our keyword for development, reduces the importance of community participation. Okay, so we had to justify whether we agree with this statement or not. So we will be writing about the problems associated with over dependency on donor agency and the benefits of community participation. But again, in conclusion, we will be taking a balanced view that both of them are required. Okay, so let us move towards the introduction, in which we will be simply writing about who are donor agencies. Okay, so donor agencies can be any foreign or Indian organization who are responsible for donation, for undertaking any project in philanthropy. Okay, so they can be donor agencies. Examples can be Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, or Azim Premji Foundation. So these are some of the donor organizations, okay, or donor agencies who are contributing, undertaking, let's say, educational or poverty eradication or any other associated skill development or funding some of the other government schemes, okay. With explaining who are donor agencies, we also had to state the examples of them, okay. Now moving towards the body of our answer. The body may, as we discussed, we had to write about the problems associated to donor agencies and the benefits of having a community participation. Okay. So coming to the problems first, it introduces conditionality. Okay. Conditionality matlab, there will be certain conditions under which you will be getting money from, let's say, Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation or Azim Premji Foundation. Okay, this conditionality reduces the importance of what reduces the requirement of that community. Okay, it sidelines the needs of that community, of that the sector. Okay, so conditionality sidelines the needs of that sector. Plus, siphoning of funds. For example, we often have heard this, that the funds will be coming on paper, but in reality there will be nothing. Okay, so siphoning of funds. So let's say they are directing money to be used in education sector. Okay, they have given approval for this, but the money has not come out of the organization or has not been able to reach the education sector. Okay, so siphoning of funds can occur. It can also lead to erosion of state responsibility. So it is the responsibility of the state to undertake these projects, right? It is the responsibility of the state to undertake education related projects or poverty eradication related programs or any other problems for that matter. Okay, these problems are responsibilities of the state to handle. Okay, this is not the problem of donor agencies, although we are getting funds from them, but the ultimate project execution should be done by the government itself. Plus, another problem is only a selected few NGOs will be getting money out of it. Okay, not all the NGOs, there can be certain NGOs who have a greater outreach, but they do not have too much visibility. Okay, they do not have too much visibility in front of donor agencies. So because of lack of visibility, they might not be getting funding, although they have a greater outreach. Okay, so only a few NGOs will be getting the money. That is another problem related to total dependence or heavy dependence on donor agencies. Okay, now coming to the benefits of community participation. First and foremost benefit of community participation is faster implementation, because it will not include red tapeism. Red tapeism is a problem associated to bureaucracy, wherein it's a top-down approach, right? This is the bottom-up approach. In the top-down approach, you have given funds, the government will set a plan and the execution will be carried out. Okay. Now, whether there is problem in getting the funds or whether there is problem in execution, all that we do not know, right? So it might not be able to execute properly because this is a top-down approach. There are associated problems here. Okay, but because this is the bottom-up approach, in the bottom-up case, what is happening is people are generating the requirements, people are creating a need, and we are funding them. Automatically, it will reduce the time for implementation, because this is done at the local level, decentralized level. Plus, better planning can be done because the people there understands the problem greater in a much better manner as compared to the bureaucratic officers which are sitting above them, right? So better planning can be done. Plus, community itself will take interest because they will be the decision makers now. Okay, so community participation will be increased because they will be the decision maker now. This is another benefit of community participation. Okay, so this is what we had to discuss in the body part. Now coming to the conclusion part, ultimately both should go hand in hand. This is very important. Okay, over dependence is a problem, but under dependence is another problem, because these donor agencies are responsible for funding a huge many number of projects in India. So both should be going hand in hand. We should have presence of donor agencies, plus we should also be including communities in decision making process. Okay, just that whatever money is coming from these donor agencies, they should be completely regulated by government. Okay, it must be ensured by government that if they are the funding agencies, they are not the decision makers, right? This we need to ensure. So we need to regulate the donors. With that, we can conclude our answer. Okay. So that was the end of the second question. Now coming to the third and final question of the day, that is, besides the welfare schemes, India needs deft management of inflation and unemployment to serve the poor and the underprivileged sections of the society. So the question is saying that this welfare scheme is not the only solution. Apart from welfare scheme, we need to tackle these two problems, inflation and unemployment. Okay, only in that case we will be able to reduce the number of poor in India. Okay, so here the introduction can be any statistical data. Okay, it can be reduction in poverty. In 2005, it was approximately 50% of the population was below poverty line. Last under the last national Under the last National Multidimensional Poverty Index released by Niti Aayog, only 15% of the population is below poverty line. So we can discuss about any statistical data, or we can write about any committee who has spoken about poverty. Okay. So ultimately in introduction, we need to write about any fact. Okay. Plus mention some of the schemes undertaken to eradicate poverty. So these schemes can be anything. Let's say Manrega, for self-employment generation, employment generation, or poverty eradication programs such as Gram Swarozgar Yojana. Okay, so some of the schemes introduced by government for poverty eradication can be discussed here. Then we can move to the body part, wherein we need to write that there are problems associated to welfare schemes, and over dependence on these welfare schemes is a problem. Okay, so what are the problems associated to welfare schemes? The first one is exclusionary errors. Okay, we are not able to identify the beneficiaries properly. Okay, because the identification of beneficiaries is not occurring properly, we are not able to cater to the required population. Okay, whichever population is in need of these welfare schemes, the government is not able to reach till them. Okay, so there are exclusionary errors. Plus it is just a supportive care, it is not improving the capability approach has been discussed by Amartya Sen, wherein Amartya Sen says that a person is called poor because they are not capable of accessing or affording, or they are not having available amount of resources. So lack of accessibility, affordability and availability of resources is making them less capable, and this capability has to be improved to tackle with poverty. Now whatever welfare schemes we are undertaking, it is just a supportive scheme. So you are under poverty, you take this money and uplift, come out of the poverty. But we are not working on the capability part. Matlab, to work on the capability part, we need to invest in education, invest in health, invest in capital building. Okay. So currently this is a problem associated with the welfare scheme. Plus wage revision. So whatever wages we are giving them in various schemes, let's say in Manrega, we are providing them 100 days of employment. Okay, so this 100 days of employment that government is providing them, this salary in some area it is not even reaching the minimum wages. Okay, or whatever it is not adjusted to inflation. So because it is not adjusted to inflation, there is no use. We are not able to give them required amount of money, right? So that is a problem associated to wage revision and social security. So whatever informal employment we are providing them under the welfare scheme, whatever is, let's say we are providing them skill under Kaushal Vikas, Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, we are providing them skill development. Okay, but the skill that we are providing them is ultimately giving them employment in the informal sector. Now, informal sector does not worry about social security. It does not worry about health insurance. So, because of which they are not able to reduce their out-of-pocket expenditure. So social security, because these welfare schemes are not able to provide them with social security, we are not able to deal with the out of pocket expenditure of these people. Okay. So because of all these problems, we have now shifted towards focusing on inflation or unemployment. For this, we have come up with the Monetary Policy Committee. RBI has come up with the Monetary Policy Committee, wherein they are targeting inflation. And this inflation targeting is totally based on fiscal review, budget management, FRBM, fiscal responsibility budget management. So FRBM Act is directing what should be the target of inflation. Okay. So MPC is now looking, guided by the FRBM targets. Okay. And we are tackling the unemployment part also. So we have come up with the Startup India scheme or Stand Up India scheme. Okay. Or even Kaushal Vikas Yojana for skill development. Ultimately, because of skill development, we are giving them with employment opportunities. So we are tackling the unemployment part also and inflation part also. But still we need to work upon this. Okay. So what should be the way forward? That is our conclusion. So way forward should be we need to work upon labor intensive sectors. What can be the labor intensive sectors for such as textile or leather, or these are the examples of manufacturing. Even primary sector such as agriculture can be focused. Okay, primary sector can be focused to tackle with the problems of inflation and unemployment. Okay, so we need to provide them with remunerative income as recommended by the National Commission for Farmers or Swaminathan Committee. So here also we need to work upon. We need to inject or infuse employment capability, increase the employment capability by introducing labor intensive sectors or focusing on these sectors. Okay. Now with that, we come to the end of this discussion. Please do let us know if you want the model answers for the same. Thank you so much and all the best.